Hello everyone. At the time of making this video, it's a very blustery, stormy night with more storms to come apparently. And what better device to help you clean up after a storm than a wet and dry vacuum cleaner, which is what I have inside this box. Now, it's a Hoover Aqua Plus, as you know. I've never had this particular Aqua Plus. When the Aqua Pluses were launched, I got the bigger electronic version that was in a two-tone blue, but I never had this mid version. There was the two Aqua Pluses, and then there was the module, which was a dry only cleaner. And of course I used to have a module as well. Anyway, I'm hoping these are as robust as I remember, because the seller has got some pretty bad feedback on eBay regarding their packaging. And yes, seems to be a single walled box. So I'm hoping, as far as I remember, the Aqua Plus was a pretty robust machine like the Aquamaster and the Aqua Jets. And this was Hoover's, the Aqua Plus was Hoover's first wet and dry that they designed. I have shown you an earlier Hoover Wet and Dry Power Vac Super, but that was made by another company for Hoover. But when the Aqua Pluses and Aquamasters came out, as far as I know, they were designed by Hoover, and they were pretty good. In fact, there are very few wet and dry cleaners I would consider using around the house as a normal dry use cleaner. But when the Aqua Plus came along, well, it was pretty quiet for wet and dry, and you could use it around the home. Now, right, oh, well, it's got a bit of extra packaging. Right, it's not the colour I remember. It might have changed colour. I thought it was more, I don't know, I don't think I ever saw one of these in real life. Well, yes, at the time this cleaner was in the shops, it would have been before 1992, when the legislation changed for all appliances to be fitted with a plug. So this one, it is a lovely old plug, an MK, might even be Bakelite. So I will clean that plug up and put it on one of my older Hoover uprights, I think, and put something a bit more modern on this 80s Hoover Aqua Plus. And also, before I plug this in, that's very loose, so I'll be wiring the plug properly. As far as I know, there are no small tools with this, but I've got the small tools I can include. So they came with plastic ones, the wet and dry cleaners, unlike the Aquamasters that had the aluminium ones. Right, so far, yeah, there's a little bit of damage on the end of that tube. I've probably got a spare tube. And this, it's not as bad as it looked in the photo. It's missing the little Hoover roundel. It would have been black and silver, I think. It wouldn't have been a red roundel. But apart from the paint marks, which will come off, I've seen far worse. Yeah, not too bad. So that is the correct carpet and floor nozzle, and this would have come with 3 other tools: a crevice nozzle, a dusting brush, and an all-purpose nozzle. And then we have the hose. Yeah, pretty bog standard. So obviously when this was made, that's in the wrong position actually. It always annoys me. The suction reducer ring, I wonder how that happens, whether they're put on the wrong way around in the factory, or I don't know. Anyway, that's how I like them, with it like that. Now, looking at this, we'll get a date for this machine, but this must have been around when the Hoover Aquamaster was launched, because it's got 2 holes either side of the handle, and that's for the Aquamaster solution control valve. That's a bit loose. But all in all, so far it looks okay. It should clean up quite well. Right, I think that's it. What I'm going to do off camera is rewire this plug, and then we'll plug this in and see if it works. Let's have a look actually before I wire the plug. Let's have a look at the state of the wiring. Oh dear. Wow. Can we see that, folks? Can we focus in on that? Or is it focusing on the cleaner behind? I'm not sure. But that's not the best wired plug I've ever seen. The cord grip isn't gripping the outer insulation, and there's a lot of bare wires showing. So I'll rewire that, and we'll see if this Hoover Aqua Plus actually works. That looks a bit better. I've just been admiring the workmanship of this plug. Now unfortunately it's missing a screw on the earth terminal, so I'll have to make sure I have a double insulated older vacuum that I can fit this on. But even underneath the screw terminals there's a separate washer, so you wire up the plug, you cut the correct amount of cable, you twist it round, and then you wrap it around the terminal. Then you put the washer on, and then you screw the top on. They don't do that on modern plugs. So there we go, that's wired up. Pop the top. It's a nice brown plug. That's going to look lovely on one of my older Hoover uprights, I think. It's a bit wobbly though, the earth pin, but this doesn't require an earth as it's a double insulated appliance. But well, that's certainly better. Let's pop my tool bag out the way, and before we plug in the Hoover Aqua Plus, we'll have a bit more of a look at the machine itself. I'll just unwrap the mains cable that stores neatly around the motor unit. All in all, I think this is going to clean and polish up pretty well. It's dirty. I think a bit of a cream cleaner, Sif, will get that slightly discoloured, but it might come clean using the old Sif. Oh, I've just spotted the rating sticker, so we'll have a look at that. We'll be able to date this machine. The writing, Hoover Aqua Plus, that looks okay as well. Ah, the wheels, oh, it's dirty underneath. Look at that. Ugh. That is dirty. Yeah, the wheels, they've all survived. That looks fine. A few spider webs in there. But yeah, all in all, looks pretty good. And yes, we've got the folding handle and the on-off switch with a little splash-proof cover. That switch sounds okay. And to take the motor unit off, there's a little screw cover there, and then there's a exposed screw underneath the handle. I think that's all you have to undo. You might have to undo the two handle screws as well, and then this whole top comes off. You can still buy motors for this. I've just been joined by a dog. I think she's scared by the weather. I think we're over the worst. It got a bit stormy for a moment. Okay, well, let's undo the clips and see if we've got any surprises. You see, this could have been kept in a shed. There could be a mouse living in here. Let's have a look underneath. Wow. The motor, you won't be able to see, but the motor, from what I can see of it, looks pretty clean. Here's the float valve. Obviously, when you're using it for wet pickup, that rises up and blocks off the suction. I'll have to check my Hoover service manual. Now, on the day of filming this, I've just uploaded my Hoover AquaJet video, and I seem to remember that there was a rubber seal around the motor inlet on the Aquajet, but that might have been a later edition. So I'll check my exploded view of this machine and see if it's missing. I think it probably wasn't included with this particular generation of Hoovers. Here's the filter, and funnily enough, I did mention in the the Aquajet video that I just bought a new filter. That actually didn't have a filter. This one stinks. It will wash, but I did yesterday order a new filter. It was advertised on eBay as an Aquamaster filter, but I think, pretty sure they're the same. Well, I'll soon find out. Otherwise, I think that should wash. It's not too bad. This is possibly being used bagless, and yes, this is just a push fit. Oh, there you go, a bit like a Henry, where you just push on the bag onto that bag collar in the middle of your picture. It just smells dusty, you know, an old vacuum dust. It's not horrendous. So we'll pop the filter back in for the initial switch on. Before we switch on the cleaner, we'll turn it around. Turn around, bright eyes, and have a look at the rating sticker. Okie dokie, let's have a look. So it's Hoover model S4326, 240 volts, 50 hertz, 800 watts, and the serial number is S4326 71001 trademarks of Hoover PLC, made by Hoover PLC, Great Britain. PLC, if you didn't know, stands for Public Limited Company. And let's have a look. So it's model S4326. The next number is 7, which denotes the year. So it's 87. Yes, it will be 87. It's not going to be 77 or 97. So this cleaner was made in 1987. Well, I was a mere slip of a girl in 1987. I can tell you, I had a full head of hair, a 28-inch waist. What has happened? I had a chiseled jawline as well. Can you believe it? Right then. Now I'm pretty confident that that plug is safe. Not sure what's on or off, but we'll pretend that that's on. Might not be. Alright, you dinky little Aqua Plus. Let's see if you work, or are you going to blow? I want you to suck, but don't blow, folks. No, we don't want any blowing, just sucking. And I'm hoping for that traditional lovely noise that these cleaners make, and the Aquamasters. Very nice sounding machines. Certainly compared to the goblin wet and dries of their time. Okay, right, enough chat, let's get on with it. Have you got a suppressor? I expect you've got a suppressor. Don't go bang. Well, yeah, she smells a bit musty. You know, I've had vacuums that smell far worse. A little bit musty. But, yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't a huge amount of money. And judging by the photos, it looked quite wet in the photographs. It was taken outside, and certainly this looked a lot shinier, but because it was wet. So I didn't have high hopes. I had a bid. It wasn't a huge amount, and I won it. So I am pleased now. You have to take a risk with eBay, don't you? You do get a few stinkers. Well, I'm just gonna push it along a bit. I know it's not got a bag in. It shouldn't be too dirty round here. But yeah, I think that's gonna look. It looks pretty nice. View my viewfinder, it looks very good. but the camera does sometimes lie, and it is a bit grubby, but it's not damaged, it's not dented. So yes, definitely very pleased to have the Hoover Aqua Plus in my collection. It fills a gap for me. I think as she warms up, the wind down will probably sound a bit smoother. Who knows how long this has been idle. I don't think this has been used for a long time. You know, it's not like it's been used, you know, just a couple of weeks ago and the seller decided to sell it. I think it's just been left unused. I'm going to do the old suction test. I'm not hoping for much. I've not got high hopes. Where is my suction gauge? It's in one of these drawers. We'll have a go anyway. So it's an 800 watt motor. I think the Aquamaster was a 1050. I'm just going to use a bit of this white tack. Well, it might, yeah, there's still going to be a little bit of suction loss, but just trying to make a good seal. You don't always get a tight seal with Hoover pip fittings, even the locking ring. There we go. That sealed it a bit better. I have absolutely no idea what this will measure. Obviously, with a clean or new filter, we might get a few more notches. But let's see what it's like now. Okay, here goes. Well, pretty mediocre really. Only managed to peak at around 50 on the gauge. As a point of reference, a modern 620 watt pneumatic Henry would measure 80. So this was nearly 50. Obviously, as I said, new filter, bit of a refurb. We might get it going a bit over 50, but it's not going to be hugely changed by having a new or clean filter, I don't think. But all in all, I'm pleased with it, really pleased. For some reason it's one I never got back in the 80s when I think it's one of my favourite eras for Hoover cleaners, followed by the 70s. The 80s are my favourite era, obviously. To some older people, you might say, oh no, Hoover went downhill in the 80s. But for me, well, compared to what you can get now, this is a masterpiece of engineering. It still works. 87 this was manufactured. It still works, and I expect after a bit of TLC it'll continue to work for several years, and if the motor goes, I know I can replace it. So who knows, in 50 years when I'm long gone, somebody else on whatever video sharing platform there might be, it'll probably be a chip in your brain and you get all the videos direct into your brain. I don't know what's going to happen, but we might still, thanks to collectors like me, we might still be looking at old vacuums. I'd call it vintage from the 80s, but it's not quite antique. One day this will be an antique. Well, it'll certainly be an antique because I'm going to look after it. It's not going to get used and abused. There's a good few years left in this Hoover Aqua Plus. One small thing before I go. Now obviously this Aqua Plus is missing the 3 small cleaning tools, and they are fairly hard to get, the tools on their own. But what is relatively, at the time of making this video, relatively easy to buy on eBay are Hoover Turbo Power Tools, model U1912. These were often included free with the machine, or if the customer bought them, they soon realised it was a bit inconvenient and didn't use them. You'll still find brand new toolkits like this on eBay. And if you remember my haul I did, my Lake District haul, or was it that one? It might have been another one. I can't remember, but anyway, I think it was in my Lake District haul video where I bought a load of spares from an electrical store in Keswick. I bought 2 of these for £5 each. Pretty sure they were £5 each. So my point is, if you're missing any small tools for many Hoover cleaners from the 80s, you might want to search out a Hoover Turbo Power Toolkit, and you'll get the tools from that. These go fairly cheap on eBay. So I might be using this one, I might be using another. Let's see what's in this one. I think this is new, but these are exactly the tools you would have got. So you would have got the crevice tool. Pretty sure that's slightly used, so I probably will use this for this. Pretty sure you got this dusting brush as well. I'll have to check back on my brochure, but I'm pretty sure you did. And yes, the all-purpose nozzle. And yes, this is from the era when they replaced those nice rubber teeth with, well, nothing really, just that. But yes, they go well with it, so that completes it rather nicely. It'd be interesting to see if these wands are the same length. I could also put a new wand in. Oh, there's something on that. Oh, that's odd. There's a little bit of a flaw, so I might not use that wand. Oh, I think they are the same. Let's have a look. Sometimes, oh yes, they are more or less the same. I always thought that toolkit ones were always a little bit shorter. Now maybe on some of the Sensortronics and compacts, the French made ones, I think the plastic tubes were a little bit longer. But that matches. So, you know, if you need to replace a wand or the small tools, yeah, get a Turbo Power toolkit. But obviously we've got this surplus now. But they all make good, useful spares. Get them while you can, folks, because although they're fairly easy to buy on eBay now, I don't expect that will be the case forever. And at the time of making this video, we're having a bit of an inflation crisis in the UK, and I think across the world. So things are going to start costing more money. So maybe we're going to come back to a time when people, instead of just running out and buying a new machine, they decide to fix what they've got. And this would still work fine in a modern house if you wanted something to use in the home, or just to clean out the car, or to use for DIY jobs. And of course it's got the wet pickup facility as well. Well, that is definitely it. Very, very pleased to have one of these. Have you had one of these? Did you like it? Have you still got one? I always think I do like these machines. When these came out in the late 80s, they were certainly quieter and nicer to use than many of the wet and dry cleaners on offer. I remember when wet and dry cleaners first came out, they were very, very noisy. Often they had metal bins which rusted. What a stupid thing to do for a wet and dry vacuum cleaner, give it a metal bin. There were several models, Shop Vac, Goblin. There was many. And I remember wanting one back in the day when they first came out. And I think actually the very first wet and dry I got was a Hoover Aqua Plus, the Hoover Aqua Plus electronic, the bigger version. And I remember I filled up the sink in the bathroom and popped the hose end in, and I was a little bit worried. I was picking up water with a vacuum, something I never was able to do before, and it was quite unnerving to do, but of course it was designed to do that. No, I'm making a fool of myself. The first wet and dry I got was the Rowenta, which I managed to get again. I've shown you that on my channel, that big Rowenta wet and dry. That would have been the first, yes, definitely. Then the Aqua Plus electronic. You see, my mind's going, folks. I'm getting too old for this game, this caper. What a palaver. Anyway, there you go. That is definitely it. I'm going. Let's hope that my house is still here by the end of the night. The wind seems to have gone down a bit. But yeah, very happy. We've got a good result. It's going to clean up. It's not going to need a lot of work, but it is going to clean up very well. And it will look, I think, almost brand new. Thanks for watching, folks. Tune in same time. No, not same time, same place. Tune in same place, a different day, but the same time, for another enthralling video. Well, nobody's watching at this stage, are you? You've already turned off. But anyway, for those of you who have stuck with me to the bitter end, thanks for watching, folks. I do appreciate you watching my videos, thumbing them up and commenting. Thumb them down if you like as well, because I don't see the thumbs down anymore. But you can do whatever you like. Up or down makes no odds to me. Right, that is it. I'm off. Bye. Have a lovely day. Goodbye to you all.